They signal it in small, subtle ways long before the damage is done. The real danger. Most people ignore the signs. They confuse politeness for loyalty, compliments for respect. And by the time the truth hits, it's too late. But it doesn't have to be. If you've ever felt someone was smiling while secretly resenting you, if you've sensed that something was off in a relationship but couldn't name it, this is your weapon. Machiavelli didn't wait to be betrayed. He created small stress points that forced the mask to fall early. He didn't accuse, he observed. Quietly, strategically. And now you'll learn how to do the same. This isn't about manipulation. It's about protection. It's about clarity. You'll discover 7 psychological tests that expose envy, selfishness, and false loyalty without confrontation, without chaos. Because once you know who's real and who's just rehearsing, you gain the single greatest advantage in life control over who gets access to you. This is how you become untouchable. Let's begin. Trust isn't something you grant freely, it's something you test. And if you don't, you'll often find yourself bleeding from wounds you never saw coming. Machiavelli understood that people don't reveal their true nature when they're relaxed. They reveal it under pressure when the moment is small, but the stakes are real. The first test is deceptively simple. Share your success. Tell someone you've won a promotion, landed a deal, or achieved something meaningful. Watch carefully not what they say, but what flashes through their eyes before they speak. Real allies will celebrate without hesitation, but those who feel threatened by your rise will delay, force a smile, or offer hollow praise. Their discomfort isn't about your win, it's about their fear of being left behind. The second test is just as subtle. Ask them for a small favor, a ride, advice, an introduction, then retract it. Say you've figured it out. If their tone lifts, if their energy shifts into relief, they've failed. They were never going to help you. They were preparing an excuse, and your withdrawal gave them an easy out, exposing their lack of genuine intent. The third test plays out in moments of shared success. Publicly acknowledge their effort, praise them, then pause. If they return the credit, if they highlight your role, they're loyal. If they take the praise silently, or worse, redirect the spotlight to themselves, they've revealed something darker. They see you as a stepping stone, not a teammate. The fourth test. A gentle disagreement. Offer a soft counterpoint. Say, I actually see it a bit differently. If they respond with curiosity, you're in the presence of someone secure. But if they become defensive, dismissive, or withdraw emotionally, they're not looking for truth, they're looking for affirmation. And if you can't disagree in peace, you'll never thrive in tension. Fifth is the delayed response test. Send them something important, a message that matters. Then wait. When they need something from you, they answer fast. But when you need them, silence. That's not friendship. That's convenience. People who only respond when it benefits them aren't partners. They're users. The sixth test takes place in the spotlight. Praise them publicly. Watch what they do with that moment. A secure person shares the light. They pull you up with them. But a self-centered one will absorb the attention and pretend you were never part of the equation. They grow louder while you fade, and that's the exact moment you realize they were only ever standing next to you to be seen, not to walk beside you. Finally, the seventh and most powerful test: give them a small advantage. Let them win a minor argument. Allow them to feel they've bested you. Then observe. A person with character will soften, will acknowledge your grace, will protect the bond. But someone with poor intent will escalate. The taste of power becomes an appetite, and they will keep taking more, not because they deserve it, but because you let them. These 7 tests are quiet. They don't involve confrontation, conflict, or chaos, but each one draws out a truth that words alone can't deliver. In a world where performance is polished and manipulation wears a smile, these subtle experiments give you what few ever find: clarity. And once you see the truth behind someone's mask, you no longer guess where you stand. You know. And from that knowing, real power begins. Once you've seen someone's true nature, you cannot unsee it. The celebration was delayed. The favor was dodged, the credit was absorbed, and your presence erased. But the goal here is not rage, not confrontation. Exposure is only the beginning. Power lies in how you respond. And a powerful response is never loud, it's precise. The first step is restraint. You change nothing. You say nothing. You don't confront, accuse, or even flinch. You let them keep their illusion that the mask still holds. Meanwhile, within your mind, a quiet reclassification begins. They are no longer an ally. They are now a calculated liability. Not yet an enemy, but no longer someone to be trusted without cost. And in that mental shift, you gain your first advantage: clarity without conflict. Next, you move from investment to extraction. What once was freely given your time, energy, loyalty now becomes measured and strategic. You stop pouring into someone who proved they were hollow. But before you walk away entirely, you extract. Study their patterns. Observe what they're still willing to share. Ask yourself, what do they know that can serve me? What influence do they hold that can still be mapped or redirected? This isn't bitterness, it's protection. You're not punishing them. You're ensuring they never have the leverage to punish you. Now redesign their place in your system. The mistake most people make after exposure is cutting too fast, too loud. But silence is more effective. Limit their access. Starve their influence. Stop feeding them information they could later use. Let them believe they still hold status while you quietly strip it from their hands. You don't burn the bridge, you redirect the traffic. Keep them orbiting far enough to observe, but too distant to disrupt. In their ignorance, they become predictable. And predictable people are easy to manage. Then reinforce your personal frame. This is not the time for explaining, pleading, or hoping they'll see what they did. They won't, because they never saw you clearly in the first place. When someone fails a Machiavellian test, they show you that they were never who you thought they were. And your job is not to fix that, it's to accept it. From now on, you act like someone who's seen too much to play dumb. The tone of your life shifts. You are no longer available for those who only come close to take. You speak less. You smile less. You give no unnecessary validation. You stop playing roles designed to make others comfortable. Finally, you signal subtle dominance not through ego, but through distance. Your replies get shorter. You no longer rush to reassure. You are polite, but no longer eager. Warm, but not open. To them, it will feel like something changed, yet they won't know what or when. That confusion is your shield. They will sense the shift, but won't be able to name it. That's the point. Because if they can't name it, they can't manipulate it. You become unreadable, unreachable, unshakable. And that quiet shift creates a new gravitational pull. Those with integrity will rise to meet your energy. The rest will drift away, confused, suspicious, perhaps even bitter, but powerless. This is not about revenge. It's about design. It's how you protect your peace without ever drawing a sword. It's how you reclaim control without declaring war. The moment you choose quiet action over emotional reaction, you become the architect of your space, not just a responder to someone else's chaos. That's the essence of power, not in destroying others, but in rearranging them so they can never touch your center again. Once you've exposed someone's true intentions, the next move isn't emotional, it's surgical. Because the most dangerous mistake you can make is not in seeing the truth too late, but in mishandling it after you've seen it. Exposure is not the end. It's the doorway to power if you know how to close it behind you. That begins with Rule 1, never reveal the test. No matter how tempting it is to let them know you saw through the performance, don't. When people realize they've been tested and failed, they react in one of two ways: manipulation or retaliation. They'll either beg to get back in through guilt and emotional theatrics, or they'll seek to reclaim dominance by undermining you. Don't give them the script. Let them think you're still in the dark. Because a person who believes they got away with something is easy to predict, and predictability is leverage. Rule 2, close the leaks. After exposure, you must tighten your circle not with panic, but with precision. What do they know about your routines, your vulnerabilities, your ambitions? What parts of your life are they still connected to? Identify every doorway they could walk through and seal it. You don't ghost them. You don't start a war. You simply shift the access they once had. You stop oversharing. You stop giving them updates. You stop letting them influence decisions that affect your future. Silence becomes your new boundary. Distance becomes your new defense. Next is Rule 3. Freeze influence quietly. Don't lash out. Don't announce the change. Just stop feeding the connection. When they joke, smile faintly. When they reach out, respond later. When they attempt to pull you back into emotional rhythm, offer polite distance. This is the art of non-reciprocity, not giving energy where you receive none. It feels subtle, but over time it starves the bond. They'll feel the shift. They'll sense the cold, but they'll never be able to name it. And when someone can't name a rejection, they can't fight it. Eventually they fade confused, not because you pushed them, but because they were no longer being pulled. Rule 4 is proactive. Use patterns to filter people faster. The point of exposure isn't just to protect yourself from one person, it's to sharpen your instincts for the future. Look at what failed. Was it envy at your success? Silence in a moment of need? Manipulation when you gave grace? Burn that pattern into your awareness. The next time someone enters your life, don't wait 6 months to find out who they really are. Introduce small tests early. See how they react to a win. You share a favor, you withdraw a subtle disagreement. If they pass, open the door. If they fail, close it quietly. This is how Machiavellians scale, not by trusting more, but by trusting fewer faster. Finally, Rule 5, reserve full access for the rare few. This is where most people fall. After being burned, they build walls so high no one gets in. But isolation isn't power, it's paralysis. Machiavelli didn't live alone. He had allies. But they were earned, not assumed. When someone consistently passes your filters, when they show loyalty under pressure, humility in praise and kindness, when in control you don't respond with blind trust. You respond with measured openness. You allow space for collaboration, but you never stop watching. Because the strongest circles aren't built by walls, they're built by gates. And only a few get the key. Exposure is a gift. It shows you where to withdraw, where to lean in, and where to plant new boundaries. These final rules aren't about fear, they're about design. You're not becoming cold. You're becoming calculated. You're not giving up on people. You're giving up on illusions. And in that shift, you create a life built not on hope, but on proof. A network that strengthens you, a mindset that shields you, and a strategy that ensures you'll never fall for the same performance twice. There is a moment, quiet, almost weightless, that comes after you've seen someone clearly. After the tests. After the delayed smile, the shallow loyalty, the failed reciprocity. That moment isn't betrayal. It's clarity. And clarity, while painful, is one of the most powerful gifts you'll ever receive. Most people go their entire lives building around illusions, trusting based on appearances, hoping behavior will change, ignoring subtle signs, because confronting them feels too uncomfortable. But the Machiavellian mindset doesn't chase comfort. It seeks precision. When you begin to study people not by what they say, but by how they behave under pressure, everything shifts. You stop asking, "Do they like me?" and start asking, "Can they be trusted when I'm rising?" You stop handing out loyalty like candy and start treating it like currency. Because power, real power, is not built on charm noise or emotional reactions. It's built on pattern recognition. It's built on the ability to stay calm while everyone else performs. It's built on the discipline to observe instead of assume. You'll start to see it everywhere. In the friend who only checks in when they need something. In the colleague who praises you in private but competes with you in public. In the partner who flinches at your wins and thrives on your setbacks. And when you see it, you'll no longer be shaken. Not because you've become bitter, but because you've become anchored. You've stopped reacting to surface signals and started moving according to deeper truths. This mindset doesn't make you cold. It makes you untouchable. Not in the sense of arrogance or isolation, but in the sense of stability. You no longer collapse when someone withdraws affection. You no longer lose sleep wondering why someone changed. You don't chase closure. You don't demand apologies. Why? Because you already saw what you needed to see the moment they failed the test. And from that moment on, their access to you began to expire. This is the architecture of power expose. Observe, adjust, not react, not explain, not warn. You expose through silence. You observe without bias. You adjust without drama. And when you move, you do so strategically, not emotionally. That's how you rise without being pulled down. That's how you protect your mission, your peace, and your potential from being drained by people who only show up for the performance. But let's be clear, this mindset is not for those chasing perfection. It's for those chasing alignment. Not everyone who fails a test is evil. Some are simply limited, immature, misaligned. That's why your goal isn't revenge, it's clarity. Not punishment, but positioning. You don't cut people off to hurt them. You reposition them to protect yourself. You downgrade their access, not out of spite, but out of wisdom. And the few who pass, the rare few who celebrate your wins without envy, who show up, even when there's nothing in it for them, who praise you without erasing you, and who soften when given power, honor them. Keep them close. Let them in. Because power isn't about doing it all alone. It's about knowing who deserves to walk with you and who was only ever pretending to. So, when the masks fall, when the patterns emerge, when the illusion collapses, don't mourn it. Use it. Build from it. Let the truth shape your circle, your energy, your empire. Because you are not here to be easily read, easily swayed, or easily manipulated. You are here to see clearly, move wisely, and rise quietly, unshakably, with precision, not emotion. That is the untouchable mindset. And now it's yours. In a world driven by appearances, one of the most valuable skills you can develop is the ability to read patterns instead of reacting to performances. People don't always tell you who they are with words, but they always reveal themselves through behavior. That's the core message behind the Machiavellian tests. Clarity doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from observation. Every interaction is a chance to quietly measure intent. How someone reacts to your success, how they handle a denied favor, how they share credit or tolerate disagreement, these aren't minor details. They're windows into a person's values, ego, and emotional maturity. The moment you stop taking people at face value and start watching how they move when no one's watching them, is the moment you take back control of your relationships, your energy, and your future. This isn't about becoming paranoid or cold. It's about protecting your peace. It's about giving access based on proof, not assumptions. Once someone shows you who they are, believe them. Then adjust accordingly. Reposition people without guilt. Build a circle that reflects your direction, not just your history. And remember, not everyone deserves access to your mind, your plans, or your loyalty. Reserve those gifts for the rare few who consistently pass your tests, not with perfection, but with integrity. If this message hit home, do yourself a favor, subscribe, like, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because in a noisy world, power belongs to the one who watches quietly and moves with precision.